It's day 17 here and our floor tiling has kicked off. So I've got a few interesting things to talk about today. I think we should start right in the middle here because this is where we can see everything. So first of all, our underfloor heating is in place here. You can see if we look really closely at this that the tile glue has gone down in between our mesh here to try and actually bond it all in place with that buildup. So you can see we've got a nice healthy amount of tile glue coverage over everything along here. Another bit of a close-up spot here. We see where the tile glue is really well smeared in there to hold this in place. So that's our underfloor heating. You can see it in place there. Now let's have a talk about this drain point here. So we had a little bit of a problem. We talked previously about why we wanted to use this double flange design so that we've got a water shedding capability at both levels of our waterproofing system. But there's a bit of a problem with that, and I'll explain. So originally we had this as our drain point. Now this is a tile insert. The tile piece will go in the top here and then all of the other tiles will come and butt into the side here. But this is a bit of a problem because the top edge here is actually higher than our surrounding tiles here. So we'd have an issue with water needing to build up before it can go into our drain point, which is definitely not desirable. It would run out the door before it actually goes into the drain. So you can see here that it can't sit down any lower because these corners are actually all clashing with this puddle flange. And if that wasn't there, then it would be able to sit down lower. So if we have a look at this other type here, it's a little bit smaller. And you can see that it actually does kind of almost fit down inside there. It's still though, we have a corner sitting up on top of the flange. So it actually can't sit down properly any lower in there. This is quite a bit smaller though, so it might still work. But we do have another option, and this is really rare. I hardly ever see them. I actually didn't even know they existed till I started doing it. And that is the same tile insert. I'll put a photo up on the screen here because I don't actually have it with me at the moment. But effectively it's a round one, right? And why that matters, and I'll use this as an example, is that we can actually fit this right down inside there. If I get it right, it'll actually sit down right inside because it's round. It won't clash on the top side of our flange anymore. So we've got one of these on order to go in there, and we'll have a look at our options and see what sits down the lowest where we need it, so we can make sure that drain point is really low, so it's where our water runs to every time. So that's where we're at with drains. It was something I wasn't aware of before, how that clashes, especially with the bigger version. You can see this is a more solid, robust. It looks really nice, but it is a bit thicker, a bit chunkier, a bit deeper. Whereas this one here, it's a bit smaller, but it still does clash a little bit with that edge there. So depending on what your buildup is, you might have some problems. So that's all for that. Next, let's have a look at these. So these are a form of tile leveler. So you can see that they screw in and out there, up and down. They can't move now because the tile glue is actually gone hard here, but you screw these in and it will level out the tiles, right? That's really handy. And if we also have a look at another tiler's tool, it's these little things, spacers. So these spacers can be used in a few different ways. You can see there's one right in the corner there to make a nice even grout line between the two. And you can also see there's another one just here that was used just to reinforce that spacing or to set it at the right width there. So you can see those spread all across the floor here to really get that level. And that's what we're looking for. So checking back in on things we discussed before, our underfloor heating alarm system here. This is still intact. Green light's on, means we haven't damaged anything so far. So that's really good. Bit of a general overview here of where we're at with everything. Cool. Now we'll have a brief look in our shower here, and you can see that there's a bit of a recess here for our strip drain to go in. That goes in right there like so. I'm not going to drop it in right now though, because what I actually want to point out is when we did this before, we made sure our waterproofing over screed came down and connected onto this flange, right? So we pulled the screed back a little bit, but that made a little bit of a hollow recess underneath here. So you can see I can put my hand way up in there. Now, that doesn't mean we necessarily want hollow gap underneath our tile there. So we're going to ask our tiler to pack that with a little bit of glue or something like that, just to make that stable. Not going to cover the drain hole or anything like that, just pack up underneath that tile. And that should definitely be something that's achievable, because this area here will need a bit of a bedding of glue or something similar to support that strip drain when it goes in there. So we're going to not talk about this shower water stop angle today. I'll save that for tomorrow when there's a little bit more progress, but there is a bit to discuss there. But as a final thing for today, we are being a bit forward thinking here, and we're going to have our vanity hung on this wall here, but you don't want to just tile the wall and then think about it later, because then you're going to be punching fixings through your tile. You have no way to seal around those fixings. So what we need to be looking at right now is putting something like this in the wall. And these are something that's very little known, unfortunately. Waterproofers should know about these a lot more than they do. And what it's called is a lag screw, or maybe a lag bolt. And the way it works is it will get fixed into this wall now, into the stud. So you can see the screw end will go into the stud. And then we have the threaded end that will be sticking out, and our vanity in this instance can be mounted on top of these and screwed down. So why go through all of this effort? There's just one big reason. It is so that you can seal around this before your tiles go in, before the vanity goes in. You can actually get a waterproof connection onto it because it's in place first. So we'll put those in soon and then see how they look. So I think that'll do for today. There is a couple of other things I want to talk about here with our shower water stop angle, our falls, how we're retaining water in this area, and so on. But I think I'll save that for tomorrow.